Welcome back to the Fear and Beer podcast,
where we discuss all things Halloween Horror Nights, horror movies, and just a little bit of beer.
So kill the lights, grab a cold one, and join us as we dive into this mad world we love.
I'm Nick.
I'm Seamus.
And I'm Jamie.
Like scary movies.
Uh-huh.
Here's Johnny.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Did you miss me?
Aren't you drinking?
I never drink. Why?
And as a reminder to all listening, if you want to help us to continue growing as a podcast, don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on whichever streaming platform you use.
To stay up to date with us and all of our episodes, be sure to follow all of our socials. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Fear and Beer Pod.
Feel free to reach out to us. We love to interact with you all.
Here we are. No announcement. It's crazy. I thought we would have had one. No, I didn't. I think mid-May is the next time we're going to get anything official from the folks over at Halloween Horror Nights. I think we'll get maybe a speculation map before we get to that, but we're going to fill this week with a little something different. We decided we're going to do a whole AMA episode this week, which, if you don't know, AMA is Ask Me Anything. We figured we do these every now and then on our Instagram stories, but because we don't really have much else to talk about, there really hasn't been a lot of rumors to address either. So we figured we'd just kind of see what you guys wanted to talk about. In the famous words of Cody Rhodes, so what do you guys want to talk about? That's kind of what we're going to go. Another couple busy weeks for us. I am not drinking anything special. I'm drinking a little High Noon just because I bought way too many of these at one point, and my fridge is full of them, so I got to get rid of them somehow, and there's no better way than to drink them. So that's what we're going to get. That's what you're getting for us this week. I don't know. Looks like pineapple. Tastes like pineapple. That's really all I got for you. So like I said, this is just kind of an Ask Me Anything sort of thing. We're going to go round table style. We got a good amount of questions for each host, and I just thought it would be a fun little idea, something to separate the speculation talk and still talk Horror Nights, I guess, to an extent. So I guess we'll just jump on in unless there's anything you guys want to address before we start. This is probably going to be not a super long episode, but a fun one.
I'm excited. I love it. It's kind of like, I think we have all collectively, it was originally 21 questions. It might be 22, but I was like, ooh, 21 questions.
Ooh, hey.
But no, this is something fun. I like talking, doing like little discussions like this.
Yeah, I have all of them screenshotted, but I don't have who these questions were for. So I kind of know, but I hopefully I won't mess these up. So let's just start it off. So Jamie, we'll start with you. One of your questions was, what is your dream scare zone?
So I think I have these in order of how we saw them too. So I think we might have the same thing going on. Dream scare zone. This was a fun question. I feel like this scare zone that I would like would probably lend better to a house, but the idea I have in mind would be really fun. So hear me out. It Follows. You guys know I love it. I know you're not the biggest fan of it, Nick, but not as a scare zone in itself, kind of like a roaming horde scare zone, how they had with like the chainsaws and how they kind of did with the Megans, I guess, with the pop-up. But I think it would be really fun to kind of have those random like people who could kind of like blend in with the park goers, but still be part of the scare zone in the different areas and following you around, but still distinct enough to know that they weren't just regular park goers and they were part of the scare zone. So pretty much I would like to have It Follows in some capacity. Scare zone, I think, would give it more room for the kind of to emphasize the idea of the film. Having it in a scare zone would be better because I feel like it would kind of be hard to do in a house, but there would be more scenery for the house. So yeah, my dream scare zone would probably be It Follows.
That would definitely be trickier to pull off, right? Because it's just
it would be hard, yeah, because there's a lot of different characters that you could use from the movie, but a lot of them are very distinct in the movie. Like they're regular people, but they either have just like some sort of like deformity or like abnormality, like the tall naked man that was on the roof. I think he has like his eyes gouged out, and that was the same guy who, when he walks into Jay's room, the big giant tall man, you have Thinking about it now, I think like 2 or 3 of the people that follow her are naked too, so maybe you wouldn't be able to do
Yeah.
that. But hear me out here. It would still be
It'd be
creepy.
hard to translate that
The
appropriately.
thought of someone following you around the park inconspicuously would, I don't know, it just does something for me.
So like every scare zone ever. Because they're just
Yeah,
following you.
but it would throw you off because they would kind of like blend in,
Just
and
be
you wouldn't
people.
really know if they were actually following you.
I mean, you would need the famous like car, right, from the poster, propped
You
up in
would
the
need
scare zone somewhere.
now that would be good. And see, the thing is though, I would think that you would want it in something big like New York. I think it would go well because you could at least put some props from the movie there. But I really, even though it hasn't gotten the best scare zones in the last couple of years, I really think San Francisco would be a cool little spot to have it too. Just because I feel like it'd be kind of easier to condense it and you'd be able to know kind of where everything's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't actually seem like it's just people walking in and out of the scare zone, like that distinct little area.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
a shame that the San Fran area
It's
hasn't hit
tough.
as much recently because I love the
Yeah.
setting of it, but
Mhm.
it's tough to hit over there.
And it's good too
Uh
because a lot of the film. Oh, go ahead, Nick. Sorry.
no, go. You're good.
I was just gonna say it would lend well because a lot of the film does take place by some sort of body of water. So that's why I was thinking more over there. But yeah, if it could ever happen, Universal, if you can make it happen, I'm begging you, please give me it follow somehow.
That's a tall task.
It's tough.
I'll jump into one of mine. One of the questions asked to me was my least favorite HHN house. Tough. That's a little tough.
Tough.
I am inclined to lean towards Spirits of the Coven or Chucky Ultimate Kill Count.
Wow.
I don't know. Those two definitely stand out to me. I kind of want to toss around the second iteration of Stranger Things as well because it's tough to gauge least favorite because the parameters are weird. Is it like, do I think it's just a bad house overall? Is it my least favorite because my expectations were so high and they weren't met? That's an interesting way to look through these. Spirits for me, the reason why that came up initially was I really liked the idea of it going into it, this whole like witchy speakeasy kind of deal. And then it just kind of went way off the rails. And we were like going underground and just there was no connectivity within the story. So it kind of threw me off there. And I really wanted to like this house. Chucky definitely comes to mind just because the idea of it again is fairly fun and interesting. However, they didn't capitalize on it completely and it didn't really come through that this was like a super meta Chucky is killing the people that are putting on this thing. I don't know. It's just thing that sticks out to me that they kind of dropped the ball there. And the other ones like Stranger Things 2 and 3 kind of just mashed up together, fell a little flat. I would say those are the top 3. Man, I think Spirits has to be there for me just because I really was really intrigued. I thought we were going to get some like New England style, witchy, speakeasy style house, and then I just was bamboozled. Bamboozled. There we go. Got that
Bamboozled.
stupid word out. But yeah, that would probably be my least favorite house. And again, I've only been going since 25, so I know that there's some other ones that are like well renowned as very, very poor. Even stuff like The Walking Dead. I started to see some of the tail end of The Walking Dead, but because I hadn't gone through them 3, 4, 5, 6 years in a row, it wasn't as shitty for me because it wasn't, it was only my second or first time seeing The Walking Dead. So at that point, I wasn't completely burnt out by it. So I'll go with Spirits. Seamus, what is a HHN year you wish you could have experienced?
I was muted. I'm sorry. So this is a good question, actually, because there's obviously 30 years to choose from, 31 years to choose from. And I've been to 4 of them now, 19, 30, 31. 32, right? So
Yeah.
outside of, and then of course the fake year we got. So I missed quite a lot. And actually, I think I have another question that's coming up in a little bit that someone asked me. It's similar to this one, but this is like the one year. If I could pick any year ever to go back and do in the in history of Horror Nights, it's pretty easily, I think, Horror Nights 17 in 2007. I was a poor college freshman at the time, so I couldn't afford to come down here on my own. But it would have been the year I think I would have gone if I could like go back in time. Because I mean, you had Dead Silence, which I've heard great things about. Psychotherapy, Home for the Holidays, which I think is a sequel to the original Psychotherapy. But then you had Nightmare on Elm Street, Dreamwalkers. You had Vampire, which I love vampires. So that one sounds really interesting. And then you had Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Flesh Wound, not as super wild about, but maybe at the time I would have been a little bit more into than I would be now. But Friday the 13th, Camp Blood, and then The Thing, which was the first Thing House, which was like a pseudo sequel to the original movie. Well, I shouldn't say original. The original remake, the 82 remake, John Carpenter's movie, which is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. So those are like 6 or 7 houses that I kick myself for never making it happen. Like I can never make it work. So
super IP
I've got two
heavy.
others that are like close second and third, but I'll save those for one of the other questions that I have, which is similar to that. But yeah, that house just sound. I mean, that year just sounds so kick ass. Like that was like, we only get so many years. I think where like you have so many heavy hitters, so many hard hitting houses, and you had like 3 or 4 massive IPs between Texas, Nightmare, Friday the 13th, The Thing. I mean, those are massive IPs. You have them all in one season. That's insane. Because if you think about it, the last couple of years, you've had 1 or 2 massive IPs, and then everything else is kind of like cool. That's cool, but like, and we've talked about this before in the past. I think at least Nick and I have, where it's disappointing a little bit that we have to keep getting like, we have the Blumhouse house. We have to have a Blumhouse house because there's a deal or whatever, or something in place where they have to have it. So then you're stuck giving up an IP for something in that world, which is fine, but it's not, I mean, nothing Blumhouse makes is, I would say, like worldwide, massive, crazy, maybe a couple things here and there, but I don't know if you'll ever get a year like that again, where you have 4 or 5 incredibly large IPs with all these different like famous horror characters all in one event. But that would be the one I'd go back to.
There's such classic like horror too. Like nowadays, I feel like they try to separate their IPs into different worlds to obtain more and more people. So like you have that video game IP, you have that Blumhouse IP, you have a classic IP, and then you have like a music so like they're all like very different. Whereas that year it's like, no, slashers, all the slashers, bring them all in.
Yeah, it was wild.
It's a little bit
even like
crazy.
Sorry. Yeah, because even like a lot of the here, let me pull it up here. Even a lot of the originals that year too were pretty wild too. It wasn't just like nothing but IPs. Where is it here? I mean, you had Psychotherapy, obviously. You had the Vampire, which sounded really cool, and then Jack had his own. You had Jack's Funhouse too. So you had every major like thing at the time, kind of there. So
yeah, it was a great year.
R.I.P. to the old days. So Jamie, we'll swing back to you. If Michael's back this year, would you want a mashup house or a house tied to a specific movie? So I'm assuming Mikey Myers, your boy. That's where my head was.
I was really, really amped up about this question because I knew exactly what to go for immediately. So to answer this question, I would pick a specific movie from the Halloween franchise to have this house based around. And we have not had it thus far at Horror Nights before. I know Seamus and Nick want one. It's not going to be the one they want me to pick.
Well, Mikey's not really in that one.
And I was just going to say, Mikey's not in Halloween 3, so it doesn't really count either.
Resurrection? We get Busta Rhymes?
No, but you're on the right track.
No idea how mad. What was there? I want like a character dressed like Busta and just be like, trick motherfucker, and just kick somebody. That would be great.
Oh, what was there? I gotta search there. Was it like Scream TV or something like that?
I have no. I don't even
their
think I've seen
TV show that they were
Resurrection.
filming.
Oh yeah, they're live, they're online live. That movie was
Yeah.
ahead of its time. I'm just saying,
That movie is great.
like people give it so much shit, but in reality, it's like Jason X. There's so many things about it that you're like, oh wow, like they were so ahead of what anybody was. The online reality TV, like come on.
Now you guys got everyone thinking it's Resurrection. It is not. Halloween Resurrection is not what I'm choosing. I would actually choose Rob Zombie's Halloween, which is also not that
Yeah.
liked amongst
Yeah.
many, but one that
Well,
I
those people don't know what
enjoy.
they're talking about.
You like that one, Seamus? Nick doesn't even really like it that
I
much.
do, yeah. The first one,
The
yes.
first one, yeah.
The
No,
second
no,
one, no, but the first one, yes.
the first one I actually really, really enjoyed. I like seeing Mikey as a young boy growing up and evolving into this crazy serial killer slasher. But
Yeah.
I think it would lend really well to a house too. Like I said, we haven't seen this one before. There's a lot of good scenery in the movie that you could use. There's a lot of different settings that you could use. Obviously, you could have Michael as a kid. You could have Michael with his evolution of the masks that they have. Him specifically in the homemade orange mask when he's in the asylum and he has like the tethered robe on when he goes and kills our boy Danny Trejo. You could have that amazing kill in the house. I would just love to see a Rob Zombie's Halloween house. So specifically speaking, I would like to have it based around just one movie. Although a Halloween mashup house would be cool, but preferably I'd like just that one.
Dangertainment was the name of the TV show.
I don't think I've seen Resurrection. It's been a while if I have.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's a I don't know. It's definitely not a good movie, but it's so fun. So I'll jump into my next one. What past icon deserves their own house, and what would the theme be? Now, and this is tough because I want to go one way, but I feel like I'm leaning towards another way. And I feel like most of these icons have had houses that were themed around them and stuff like that. So I'll go with one. The one that I want to say is I want another Lady Luck emergence. I want another full-on horror casino. I want to go through the roulette kills. I want to go through the craps tables. I want to go through the slot machines. I want to go through the whole casino. The thing has to smell like stale cigarettes. There has to be a 90-year-old lady pounding the table. Monkey, monkey, monkey. I need all of the tropes of the casino. But I think the one that I would be more excited for would be if they did another Usher themed house and had it very theater oriented. Obviously, that's like his shtick, so it's going to be. But I would love to see another theater oriented house with the Usher. Now, if you want to tie that with Slaughter Cinema, even better. But I think the Usher I think he's in line with some of the most underrated icons. You know, he was used a couple times, but really wasn't at the forefront all too often. You know, when you think icons, you think, you know, Caretaker, Jack, Chance, stuff like that. And there's that, you know, the director's kind of in there in tears. And then you have the Lady Lux, the Usher, the storyteller, Terry Crentis kind of underneath them. That's just my personal opinion. That's how I think the totem ranks. And you have, you know, kind of Fear in the middle there somewhere as well. But I think Usher with just a full-on theater route would be really fun to come back. Especially that's such an easy tie-in to the overall theme, you know, with IPs mostly being just movie related. You can just have him be bringing these to life, bringing, you know, the screens to actually the forefront of HHN and present it that way. So I don't know if they'll ever do that again. But if I had to pick one, I would say Usher. Lady Luck is a close number two. If I had to throw a third in there, I would say it would be fun to have Chance. Give her Chance another house and have her kill Jack, something like that. You know, she comes around, like beheads Jack and kind of usurps him for power, super like Harley Quinn style. That's up there for me as well. But
I like that idea.
I would like
have her like take over the event, Like it's almost like make it look like it's Jack's event, but it's being hijacked by Chance. And then you can
hijacked.
And then have them play off each other, like, as you know how you have Jack all the time, like walking around the park and playing with people and like, you know, bouncing off of them with like the megaphone and stuff. Like have her kind of like take over.
I would have her do that with like like a head of Jack, like a puppet head, and have the mouth, like she can like move the mouth and stuff and work it like that.
Should I ventriloquist them? That's
Yep.
gotta be cool.
Yep. So that's kind of where I would go. So Seamus, you also have an icon sort of related question.
I do.
If we got an icon this year, who would you want?
That is a good question. I cheated with a couple of these questions. So sorry, everybody, if you don't count this character. I went through all of them, and like I wanted to say like the director, but I felt like if we all got this question, at least you and I would both, Nick would say the director. So I didn't really want to do that because I felt like it was boring. And I felt like a lot of the icons that we've gotten have kind of had their chance. No pun intended.
Dun, dun.
There are a couple that haven't. And I wanted, so for example, like I wanted to pick Fear because I really do like the concept of the character. Like he is the epitome of everyone's fear. That's why they call him Fear. He's not supposed to be some grounded character. He's more of an ethereal, like puppet master type thing. But I didn't want to pick him either. I think at the end of the day, because I felt like it would be hard to make that event work, and I think they've tried, and it just doesn't translate very well, and most people don't like it. Because I know people don't really like him as a character. So I'm going to cheat, and I'm actually going to say Boris Schuster.
Okay.
I know that he's not considered an icon necessarily, but it was more or less confirmed to us at the panel a couple of years ago that he is in a way an icon. Like you could consider him an icon. So I think that. So why I'm cheating is I think they should give him his own year and actually coronate him and let him be an icon. Like he's now officially official.
No debate
as an icon. No debate. And then let like all the original houses be based around like a Boris Schuster comic.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously it'll be different. Like each story will be a lot different, but it'll all kind of have that cell shading, that comic book look to it. And I think you could really do something with that and then tie them all together in some way. And really kind of play on the idea of walking into a comic book, and then do different monster stories or different horror stories based on that. And some people may think that's too samey, like everything's kind of too close to each other. But I think that if you could do the stories different enough and the look somewhat different enough, I think you can make it work.
You could do
but I think he's such a good character.
Yeah, you could still do your sci-fi house. You could have your whatever house, stuff like that.
Right.
You could have it all very different.
Yeah, I just think I think he deserves more than just that one house. Like that house that he was in,
Case Files
was so surprising. Like I think everybody just didn't expect it to be as good as it was, and I thought that house was like top 3 that year. Like he needs more. We need more Boris. We need something to do with Boris. So even if it's not like an event for him, at least bring him back and kind of give him some more spotlight, because I think he deserves it.
I like that. I'd love to see that, because that is a character that can have all the houses tied to him while still being very different houses. So Jamie, let's go back over to you. What's the first house you ever went through?
So these are all really good questions looking at my list when you were talking a little bit, Seamus. So my first, if I could recall correctly, I'm pretty sure I was young. I'm pretty sure I was 11. I think I was 10 when I first went. So I think that 15 or 17 was my first year. I'm going to go with 17 because that's what I remember the most. I was 11 years old, and my first house that I ever did, Seamus recently mentioned, was Dead Silence, The Curse of Mary Shaw. I will never forget it. As I've gotten older, my memory has absolutely gone to shit, but luckily I still have some faint memories lingering in the back of my mind of this house. It was beautifully done, and I know you guys would have enjoyed it so much just because with how much we enjoyed puppet theater as well. It was just so reminiscent of it, especially to see puppet theater. And I know there's a couple Easter eggs in there with Dead Silence as well, a couple of the different puppets that were in the house, and
Billy.
Mary Shaw's, I know, Billy and Mary Shaw's gravestone, which was really, really fun. But it just had so many great elements. It had the element of making it seem like you're walking over, like in through the rafters at the top of the theater, like over the scaffolding. Just the walls of dolls were just, even for back then in like 2007, just like the detail they've put in these houses for so long is just so amazing. And I feel like it was just such a good first house to go through, because unbeknownst to many who don't like this film, I think Dead Silence is a really good killer doll film, and it's got a good twist to it. It doesn't get old. It still holds up, and I think, yeah. I mean, not much to say more about Dead Silence because I could talk about it all night. But that was my first house I ever did.
I can't even remember what my first house was, and I went, way, way more recent than you
Right.
have. I had no clue
Right.
what my first house was.
Mhm.
It was 25. I mean,
Mhm.
maybe it was Freddy versus Jason because that was why I went to the event. So maybe I just hopped right in line for that.
Mhm.
But I couldn't tell you for certain what my first house ever was.
Mhm. It might
So
have
my
been not
next
that in the
one,
first order, but close enough. It was definitely
close
that one, I'm
enough.
pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, close enough, exactly.
So my next question that I have for myself is, what scare zone would you like to see get the house treatment? There's a lot that
Ooh.
comes to mind. One that has been talked about this year, but I won't use that one because I think recency bias, and it was, since it's rumored, I'll kind of let it sit as a rumor. I can give you two, and they're both very, very different houses. I think I've talked about this one plenty of times, and I think that there's a lot to go off of, and that would be an arcade. I'd love to see an arcade based house. You could do it in a haunted arcade. You could theme it almost like Wreck It Ralph, where you're getting, or like Tron, where you're like getting sucked
That'd be
into an
fun.
evil video game. And it could be like super cyberpunky, lights everywhere, cool audio triggers, lots of, strobes, just very flashy and neon-y. I think that that's very fun. You can get creative with the characters. You can have, those neon girls there with the wigs and the glasses. You could have these like pixel monsters, almost like these really blocky costumes. That would be fun. You can make just like how Slaughter Cinema has like made up movies. You can make up video games and use the characters from the made up video games in that as a villain. So I would love to see an arcade get the treatment for sure. Something
Mhm.
else that would be more on the fun, goofy side, I would love an invasion house. It was slightly rumored last year, and we had kind of talked about it possibly being there, but just having it as that like super schlocky sci-fi goofy house, aliens invade. It's like your typical alien. They come down like almost Mars Attack style, with, the big cloaks and stuff like that, and just like the trippy sci-fi sounds, the just the stupid noises and sounds that you can get with that. Like it wouldn't be a
The
serious house. I would
lasers.
make this a complete, yeah, exactly. Like I would make this just such a fun, goofy house.
No, that would be
But
fun.
those would probably be the two that I would lean towards if I did get to pick whatever scare zones I could. I'm sure there's more. We've talked in the past. If you dig through our archives of episodes, I think there's specific episodes we've designated strictly to scare zone turns into house, mashups or ideas and stuff like that. And I'm sure there's a couple more that I had on there that I was like really amped up about. But just off the top of my head, Anarcade's number one for sure, and then Invasion would be number two. So Seamus, let's kind of follow up with your first question that you had, with this one being, what 3 years of HHN would you experience if you could go back in time?
Yeah. So you made me think a little bit harder with these two with the two questions because I thought I only had to pick one. But
You
so
got a
I'm
lot
gonna
of hard
cheat
ones.
again. I'm gonna cheat again. We're gonna include 17 with that because 17 again is my number one. Like that's the one I want to go back and definitely do if I could. But there are two others that come in second and third, probably second A and second B. One of which is HHN 25 from 2015. American Werewolf in London House, Freddy versus Jason House, a few others that were really good, and then HHN 27 from 2017, which had American Horror Story Volume 2, American Horror Story Volume 2, The Shining, which again is my favorite movie of all time, Saw, which I love Saw, and Scarecrow, which is like I think the one IP, not sorry, the one original that I really wish I had gotten to do. Um, Out of all the originals that I've never done, that would be the one that I want to go back and try because I mean, I've heard nothing but good things. Like no one has ever told me, "Hey, the Scarecrow ain't that good. It wasn't that good." Like
Yeah,
everybody
no.
says it's potentially the scariest house they've ever done. So that yeah, it kind of sucks that I never got to do that because I love that vibe, that Scarecrow farmhouse cornstalk type house, like Pumpkin Lord, like
Mhm. Wicked
a
growth,
house
yeah.
like that, which kind of gives you that that feeling of being in the middle of nowhere at some farmhouse and the scarecrows are alive. So yeah, those are the 2 other years I would definitely want to go to. So I think if I had to order them, 17, 27, 25. But yeah, I mean, all 3 of those years had houses that I'm still kicking myself for never coming down and doing them. Considering the fact that I went to Spooky World like literally every year
Oh, that was
through
right next to
college
us.
and everything else. Yeah, well, it was until it moved
Convenient.
to like New Hampshire, way up in Litchfield, and it was like an hour and a half drive. Like, and I used to drag people to it. I'm like, we're going to Spooky World this year. And they're
Please,
like, oh, do we
please come
really
with
want
me.
to travel? I'm like, yes, we're going all the way up there because I don't want to go alone. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, those are the 3 houses. 3 houses. Those are the 3 years that I would want to go back and do.
Jamie, back to you. Top 3 houses you want this year. So I don't know if that's you get to pick, or maybe top 3 of the rumors, or a couple of rumors and one that you might just think be happening. I'm not. Thankfully, it's a little bit open ended, so you can kind of just do your thing with whatever that it seems like.
Yeah, I was looking at the Instagram for these questions. This one is our buddy Jordana, pretty killer. She's so nice. But this was tough, honestly, because I feel like for me, I always enjoy having more of the IP houses at the event. That's just what I look forward to. So I feel like I have 2 IPs and 1 original on here, but I also have an honorable mention as well. So right off the bat, you guys could probably guess, Five Nights at Freddy's. I just need to see it happen. They announced at CinemaCon the other day that it's finally getting a sequel in
Oh
2025.
boy!
So maybe
Wait till we
they're
talk about the movie at the end of this episode.
Oh boy!
oh, you watched
Stay tuned.
it?
Stay tuned.
Woo! Oh god. But
Movie of the week.
watch. But yeah, so they announced it at CinemaCon that it's getting its sequel, fall 2025. Will be releasing in theaters. Hope it's good. Hopefully, maybe they're hyping it up because they'll bring it as a house this year. But it would make more sense if the movie was coming out this year to have it as the house. So that's the only thing that kind of deters me from thinking that we might get it. But a girl could dream. A Nightmare on Elm Street. Nick and I and my roommate have been watching all the Nightmare movies since they put them back on Netflix. And I just really need Freddy to come back. It would be so cool. Like you were saying, Seamus, in 17 Carnival of Carnage, when they just don't do it like they used to. Freddy, Jason, Leatherface, like the whole event, just it was always stacked with big like name slashers, which is something I feel like we could all appreciate. And then this one was the original that I had, and I know this has kind of been rumored a little bit. I would really like to see a Sweet Revenge original house. I think it's overdue. It's been a couple years since we had the Scare Zone. I know you guys would probably enjoy it as well, and I think they could do a lot with it, and I think it'd be super fun. And the honorable mention that I had that unfortunately probably won't happen, but again, I could dream, would be Terrifier to come to the event for this year with the new movie coming out in October. Especially if they based it off, of course I would like it to be off the first one and the second one, but if they were to do it off this third one that they have coming out, which is themed around Christmas, I love anything holiday horror, so I think that'd be really fun too.
Yeah, it's been an interesting rumor year so far. So it's
a
I think we're
lot
still
going on.
I think we're still far away from having a locked down event. So I'm very curious to see what kind
Yes.
of fizzles out in the next couple of weeks, but
Mhm.
interesting nonetheless. So for
Yeah.
my next one, what was my favorite year at HHN? Now, I think this has to do more with going to the event at the time of my life versus like what was actually at the event. And I think I'm going towards 29. It didn't have like some of my favorite houses. You know, we had a lot of other cool stuff at more recent years. You know, I mean, we had Dead Man's and stuff like that. 31 and then 30. I think that was when we had Wicked Growth and Puppet Theater and all that stuff. And I think the lineups were better, but overall vibes, as the kids say, at 29 was like really what made me fall in love with this event. That was the event. After that event is when we started this podcast, I believe, Seamus. We started this in March leading up to the COVID year. So that's what really like kickstarted. You know, I always liked it, but I hadn't gone to it as much as I did before this event. And that was sort of when I had just moved down here. I think I had gone to 28 while I was living down here as well, but 29 is when I started like really going and like going multiple nights, and not nearly as much as I go now, but that was just, I had such a good like friend group that we consistently went, and it was just, and we still go to this day to the event. But it was just such a,
Yeah.
it was just, I don't know, it was an eye-opening year for me. And the year wasn't, it's not like it had bad houses, it had really good houses. I think I like houses from other years better, but I mean, this lineup was still really good. That was the first Universal Monsters, that was Nightingales, that was Ghostbusters, Yeti, Terror of the Yukon. We had Killer Clowns, we had Us, which I don't like the movie, but I really liked the house. Graveyard Games, House of a Thousand Corpses, and then in my opinion, we had no scare zones that missed that year. The closest being Zombieland Double Tap, but other than that, we had the Hellbilly Deluxe, awesome. Anarcade, just talked about it, I loved it. Vanity Ball, amazing, and Vikings Undead, which was really good too. So I think just overall, it was solid, and I had the most fun at that event, I think, because it's what truly opened up my eyes to like how much I could love this event. And obviously it spawned this podcast. So you guys can all thank HHN 29 for that. Seamus, let's go over to your next question. So what is a dream house and the beer you want to drink while waiting in line?
Yeah, this is a really good question. Not just because the house was easy, but having to like think about how do I pick a beer? Like there's so many beers and there's so many ones that I've had that I like. Like
something from Treehouse.
Picking one. Well, I actually tried to. Can you get out of my way, please? Sorry, my cat is sticking its entire head into my cup of water. I don't mean to be distracted, everybody, but
taking a bath.
This is ridiculous. No, I give her water. I'll send you guys the picture. Don't worry. And she does this shit.
No, I want this water. I want the water.
Give her a
here.
sip.
You know what? Hold on.
That's very much so not for
YouTube,
me.
just for the YouTube audience. Oh,
YouTube
she stopped doing
audience.
it.
Check the cat shoving its face.
Fucking idiot.
This is what you come here for, folks. Cat
She's so
drinking water.
stupid. She's so stupid.
We're gonna hit that
She's
cat
gonna stick her
algorithm
tongue right there.
somehow.
Stop. All right, let me answer the question. All right, so Dream House, obviously, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch needs to happen. Like, snap, like yesterday. Come on, make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
But what beer to go with it? So I was thinking something kind of traditional. So a pumpkin beer. Not that pumpkin beer is traditional, but like Halloween traditional would be pumpkins, right? And there's so many pumpkin beers out there that like most of them are, they're if you've had one, you've had all of them basically. Yeah. But there is one that I've never had, and I've heard about it, and it's got like the highest ranking it can get on Beer Advocate for a pumpkin beer. It's got a 96 world class score.
Wow,
and that's incredible for a pumpkin beer.
It doesn't happen.
It's called. Yeah. No, I know. It's called Picture If You Will, and it's by Bottle Logic Brewing out in California. And Bottle Logic, if you know, if you're a beer drinker, you know Bottle Logic is world class, like it's world renowned. And it's a bourbon barrel aged pumpkin ale with pumpkin, cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, clove. All of that mixed together, and it's aged in bourbon barrels, so it gives you that kick that you get from beer aged in a barrel like that. But it's also, from what I've heard, is it's really smooth. I've never had it before, but that would be the one. If I could have anything in the world, I would get that and wait in line for Halloween 3 drinking that. If I can't have that, then I'll take a Pumpkinhead. Yep. So Horror Nights, if you're listening, bring back Pumpkinhead, please.
Please.
I don't hate the whole hog, but I would prefer Pumpkinhead. But yeah, that's kind of my answer.
It's been getting stale.
It's not a bad. It's not a bad like. Yeah, it's okay for like if I can't have Pumpkinhead, I guess I'll have whole hog. But I don't know. But that would be the one if I could pick anything. If I could, the perfect night would be waiting in line for Halloween 3, drinking this Picture If You Will from Bottle Logic.
Oh yeah. Jamie,
and it's 11.8% ABV, so you only need
one. Jamie, I know what my answer for this question would be.
Oh my god!
But I'm curious what your answer will be.
For this question will be.
What is your favorite family-friendly Halloween movie?
Can you guys still hear me okay? I thought my mic was loud.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
we
Just
can hear
making
you.
sure. Favorite family-friendly Halloween movie? That's a tongue twister. Nick, I think yours, I know what might be. It's not going to be the same as mine.
Probably because I
I
watched it
actually
like
have
3 times in the last 2 months.
you sure did. You sure did, buddy. It's okay. That's okay because I watch these movies consistently too, even not during Halloween time. So, my two favorite family-friendly Halloween movies would be number 1 on the list, classic Disney Channel original movie, Halloween Town. You can never go wrong. No matter what age you are, I feel like you could just enjoy the nostalgia of this movie. Fun for everyone to watch. I love watching this, like I said, multiple times throughout the year, but especially during Halloween time. And also another good, just feel good movie, I guess that makes me it's just nice to watch it, is Beetlejuice. Was gonna be my other one.
Well,
Yeah.
you're wrong because you didn't pick Hubie Halloween, and
No, I
that's
didn't pick
obviously the
Hubie
right
Halloween.
answer.
No, because I thought about that and I
I
was like,
love
Hubie
it
Halloween
so
is
much.
pretty funny, and I know Nick would appreciate it, but
It's
I unfortunately don't
amazing.
enjoy it
It's
as much as he
amazing.
does.
It's
It is
so
good.
funny. Um,
Never watched it.
oh, go
Really?
watch it. It's on Netflix. It
It's
is
actually really
the
funny.
culmination of the Sandler verse. It is
Is it?
hysterical. I love it. Bora is
It's
in
Yeah,
it
really
I have
too.
to
The
funny.
watch it.
remember the Salem witch, Bora
Yeah,
from Spooky Empire. They were walking
yeah,
around, but they're in the
yeah.
background because they filmed this all in Salem.
Mhm.
In Salem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's worth a watch for sure. So to my next question, an actor or actress you would love to see in a horror film. This is tough because like I don't necessarily follow like specific actors and actresses. Um, I mean, if I had to throw one out there, maybe it's just because we've been watching Eastbound and Down, but I think it would be he's been writing horror movies and like doing them. So I'd like to see Danny McBride. I mean, he did the new like Halloween trilogy. So, like it would just be a completely different side of him that I didn't know was there, but obviously with his writing, kind of like how Jordan Peele's doing all his horror stuff, it'd be fun to see Danny McBride act in a horror movie because you would just not. It would be tough to shake his persona, his screen persona, because he's like seemingly the same character in every movie. Whether it's This Is the End, Eastbound and Down, Tropic Thunder, he's always just like that, super bravado, over the top, crude character. But it'll be fun to see him in a like just a weird role, sort of how like Jim Carrey did the number 23 and Johnny Depp did Secret Window. Like it was just kind of like this really weird, dark style character. So I think it would be fun to see him.
Mhm.
And maybe Paul Rudd. I mean, Paul Rudd was in a um, Halloween like 4 or 5
Wait,
back in the day.
he was in 6.
6. Okay, he was in 6, and
He
I
was
know
in
he's in the new
Halloween 6.
Ghostbusters. But it would be cool to see him in like a like true like dark
He
psychological
played
thriller kind
Tommy.
of thing. Yeah.
Played Tommy
Um,
Jarvis.
But yeah, that's kind of where I would go towards. So Seamus, a horror
Mhm.
movie you hope never gets a remake because the original is too perfect. I have a couple that I think you might.
Yeah, this is a great question. And it took me a minute to really kind of, because there are a few now that I'm thinking about it more. But there were a couple that I did kind of narrow it down to. It's hard. It's actually a harder question to answer because if you think of one, then you go, oh wait, shit, that was remade.
Mhm.
Even if it was like some stupid remake that nobody knew about or cared about, a lot of these movies get remade, unfortunately. So it's hard to like, pick one that truly has not been remade or has not had other things in the universe or in its universe. Like I almost went with The Shining, which should never
That's
get
what I thought
remade.
you were gonna
Ever.
pick.
Should never get remade. But then again, they did Doctor Sleep, which is technically not technically, it is a sequel to it. So
Mhm.
I felt like it's not really answering the question because in a way it's like a pseudo remake of the original. And the reason I say that is only, and just a quick history lesson, is that Stephen King is famously not super over the moon about the original Shining movie. He didn't like it, and he didn't agree with a lot of the directions that Kubrick took with that movie. But that's why the movie and the book are equally held in such high regard, because they're both amazing. And then what he did with Doctor Sleep was King actually, when he wrote the book, he took a lot from the original novel, but also a lot from the original movie, and kind of tied it all in as a sequel to it. So Doctor Sleep kind of does some of the stuff the original Shining book had in it. So I didn't really want to count that one. So long-winded answer is that's not the answer. It's not The Shining. So I went with American Werewolf in London.
Okay.
To me, it is the perfect werewolf movie. It is exactly what a werewolf movie should be. It has the best transformation of a werewolf in any medium, in any film. I don't care if it's something new, something old. That scene where the main character, I forget his name, transforms into the werewolf for the first time, and you see it, like, it is horrific and beautiful all at the same time, between what they could do with puppetry and animation and stuff, for a movie from, I believe, the early 80s. I think it was like 81 or 82 if this movie came out. But it is an incredible movie. And if they ever remade this, I would give up on Hollywood, because it's like
It's only a
you're
matter of
completely
time.
dead. I know, and that's the worst part, is
That's
that you
the
know
sad
that eventually
part.
they will, but like, it's just it's too good of a movie to ruin its legacy by remaking it and making it all super flashy in 2000, late, 2020s, 2030s animation, whatever they can do. I mean, no amount of movie magic today is ever going to do that remake justice. So
No,
don't
because
ever remake this movie if you can
that was
help
the
it.
best part, was like the practical effects, and nowadays it would just be
Yeah,
CGI. And like, yeah, it'll look
you would
like
have to
more
probably.
realistic, but that takes the fun out of it. That was the magic
Mhm.
about what they
Yeah,
did so well. That
Yeah.
that transformation was so good.
yeah. So don't remake that, please.
You heard it here. Please do not remake that. Don't touch it.
Seamus said don't remake it, because I'm totally the most important person ever.
Jamie, back to you. What's your favorite HHN experience ever?
So I have
Jesus,
two.
what a question.
I know. I like that. No,
That's a heavy hitter.
I
Everything
like
you've
that
ever
too.
done, what's the best of it?
No, I actually feel like this one was kind of easy for me to answer. So I have two distinct things on here. One being at HHN 29. For some reason, someone in the HHN world really just wanted me to really fucking love that year. They gave me House of Thousand Corpses and the Rob Zombie Hellbilly Scare Zone. Can't believe it. Two Rob Zombie things in one year. That was awesome. Probably one of my favorite years we've had thus far in the most recent times. So that was a great experience overall, because I mean, I just feel like that was made for me. I'm a really big Rob Zombie fan, for those of you who didn't know. And also, RIP to the blood bags, but HHN 26, the last year that they had the blood bags, I was freshly turned 21 that April. So I finally, after years of going with my parents as a young kiddo, seeing them drinking these cool Jello blood bag shots, I was like, man, I want one. I want to get one. And I finally got to have one, which was awesome. And they got rid of them the year after. So glad I got to try it when I did. So that was really a good experience too.
No, what you're supposed to say is when we get to meet all the fans,
It
all the
is when we
people
get
that
to
come up and say hi. You're supposed to pander.
That's my
honestly,
favorite
Pander.
movie.
no, that is see, I could never win an award speech or like anything like that. My speech, I'd be like, "Thank you so much," and just forget everyone. But no, I also do love meeting all you guys. I just think that's weird to say. I don't want it to sound like weird of me, like, oh my god, meeting all of our fans. Because honestly, before I got on the podcast, I was like, there ain't no way, and I can't believe you people really listen to us. It makes me really, really, really happy, and I love talking to everyone and talking on here. Although it may not seem like it, because half the time I'm repeating myself or stuttering and getting really nervous, but I do really enjoy it, and it is fun meeting you guys, because it still just blows my mind, honestly, that you guys listen to us and you know who we are. It's pretty cool.
Before Jamie was on, she would always be like, "Ah, people don't come up to you and say hello. Like, they don't know
I
who
was like,
you are."
I was
I was
like,
like,
no way.
some do, some don't. And then she got to see it firsthand finally.
And not in like a bad way either, saying like they don't come up to us. I was flabbergasted. Couldn't believe it. I was like, that's
Yeah,
so
I still
cool.
don't believe it half the time when people can
Yeah.
just pick us out randomly. But
I'm just
if you do
a
see us in the
regular
park, say
degular
hello,
girl.
because we
Right.
love talking with people.
Yes, I
Um,
love chit-chatting.
we'll jump back over to one of my questions. What got you into liking horror? Honestly, I think it was Seamus. Uh,
Me?
We used to. I like, I mean, my earliest memories of horror are when we would just watch the AMC like 24-hour Halloween
Oh,
marathons
yeah, I
at your
remember
house.
those.
When
Mhm.
they would air every Halloween movie on Halloween, we would usually just skip school and watch TV all day.
Yep.
I don't really remember diving into horror myself. Before all of that, I think honestly, you were probably the one that showed me the way into this horror world. And, that took off into us doing our own haunt. That took off into us just always talking about horror movies and us always being like, hey, we should do a podcast on horror. And then we both kind of collectively found HHN and we're like, hey, let's do this. We have nothing going on with COVID. Let's just start an HHN podcast. And we kind of self-taught ourselves how to do this. We kind of brushed ourselves up on HHN knowledge as best as we could, and we cover the event as best as we can now. So I think a lot of credit goes to you for turning me into this sick, twisted individual.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess I should feel good about that. I don't know. I've always kind of been a little sick in the head, but that's besides the point. Yeah, I mean, I same as Nick. I mean, not to jump on your question, but I mean, I vividly remember growing up and kind of stumbling across a lot of the stuff. And I think like Jamie kind of had one of her earlier questions, like with the Halloween Town, like the family movies. Like I remember when those movies came out, when like the first one dropped on Disney Channel. I remember watching that live.
I was like, this
you
is
were
amazing.
like,
I was
yeah,
flabbergasted.
and I mean, when did the first one drop? I'm trying to think what year that was. Halloween Town
Had to be
I
like
know, look it up.
90s, like 94.
98. So I was
Okay.
98. So I was 10 years old when that movie dropped. And I've always just kind of really enjoyed spooky things and Halloween and scary stuff. I mean, my parents took me to Spooky World when I was 5-6 years old.
Yeah.
So like I've been doing this forever. It wasn't until like obviously I got a little bit older and I was allowed to watch a little bit more on TV and wasn't like as sheltered when it came to stuff on the television, that sort of thing. That it kind of grew from there. And then like Nick said, like I still remember when AMC started doing those like all month long movie marathons. And then also, this is really weird, but the Bravo TV channel, I don't know if they're even still a thing at this point, but like I think actually 20 years ago this year, 2004, they dropped the 100 scariest movie moments. And that was another big thing. Because I was in high school, so I had been able to like start going to movies on our own. Saw was my first rated R movie that I got to see in the theater by myself. So like there was just a lot of things of those memories that weren't that long ago, but they feel that long ago.
Mhm.
And it's kind of just built up from there. So I guess if I'm the reason that got you that you got into this stuff, that's great. But
Yeah, I mean,
and plus, so go ahead.
I say I definitely like. I remember that being like my introduction to like horror. The first like spooky-ish stuff. I did watch a lot of Scooby Doo and stuff like that. But like as far as like true horror, I think that was the catalyst of this.
Yeah, because I remember I think we went to see Saw together.
Yes,
your dad dropped us off.
Yep. Yeah,
your dad took us, and we were like, you may need to get in line with us because we're not 18, so they may not sell us tickets.
Over at Solomon.
At the time, no, it was at Leominster. It was the
Leominster.
Theater.
The Entertainment Center. Okay, yeah.
It was the Entertainment Center. I remember getting in line for it. I think it was Leominster. I'm pretty sure it was Leominster.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I hadn't really been going to the movies alone yet. I mean, because I just got my license that year. Like I was just starting to drive on my own, and yeah, I remember him having to come with us because we weren't sure that we were going to be able to get in.
Yeah. Oh, and I mean, God, I must have been. When did Saw come out? 04?
Excuse me.
So I was like 14 or 15, I think.
2004.
Yeah, so I think I was 15 because I think it was October 16, of 04. Yeah. Or so I was right around that age. But yeah, we had to get the
something like that,
parental to buy the tickets for us. Going back now to we're on Seamus now. What is your comfort horror movie you will always stop to watch?
So I went with a cheap one here, not cheap one, but like it's Halloween 78, the original.
Yeah, it's
that
such
movie.
A classic.
is again. I think when we ranked our movies, I think that was like my number 2 best favorite. I guess it's at the top of my lists of favorite horror movies of all time. And when that movie is on, especially during the season, I can't not watch it. And to be honest with you, it is like a Halloween night after we do the trick or treating stuff with the kids and everything. Like that's the thing I do. I come home, I open up a beer, and I sit down and I watch Halloween '78. And that's like usually the last thing I'll do before I go to bed. So at least have to watch it once a season. Generally, I'll try to do like all of the movies in like a marathon throughout the year, throughout the Halloween season. But that's the one I have to watch at least once.
Yeah, it's a classic. I keep that on rotation during the year too, because it's just
for me. It's like it's my Shawshank Redemption. Like a lot of people say, like Shawshank, when Shawshank's on, I watch Shawshank. Halloween's that for me. Like if not that, like the funny thing is we say that even though
we don't
like
really have TV.
in today's day and age we don't do that anymore. It's not really like scrolling through the channels and finding a movie that's on. Like you don't do that really much more anymore. But Halloween would be the one that if I can't think of anything, I'll throw that on.
Yeah.
I mean, I forget the company that put them out, but I have the Blu-ray set they released like 10 years ago now at this point.
That's cool.
And it's like worth $800 or something like that. But people are buying it online for like $800.
You better flip that.
Of course, they dropped the Friday one, the Friday the 13th one, like a couple of years ago, and I bought that one too.
Nice.
So they need to do a Freddy one. I need a Freddy release. Everything on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Not that I watch Blu-rays much anymore,
but just to have it, it's nice.
But just to have it, it's a collectible thing.
Because I have Michael
Myers is my boy. Yeah,
Mikey.
So back to Jamie. This is a good one. Being an HHN girly, what are your fashion tips for HHN?
This was such a fun question. I have a lot of little tips written on here actually. So as much as it's tough for me because I feel like I want to say that I love fashion, I love styling outfits, doing all this kind of stuff, but I don't really post much of that stuff like on Instagram and stuff like that. I always just post like random like shows or whatever, but I do love doing my outfits up for horror nights. So one tip, always bring an extra pair of socks. No matter what it is, if I'm wearing my boots, if I'm wearing my Docs, I always wear 2 pairs of socks. Your feet are going to get screwed over walking around the whole night. And in good old lovely Florida, it rains all the fucking time. So your shoes are going to get wet. No matter what shoes I wear, they always get wet. So you always bring an extra pair of socks. I feel like I usually go for casual comfy, high-waisted shorts, a little horror t-shirt, maybe some biker shorts, maybe tights underneath, or fishnets. Because for some of my girlies out there, my legs be chafing, so I always have to wear a little something underneath to avoid that as much as I can. But for more of the cute outfits, I like to do stuff that's really like breathable just because it's so hot, like during these nights, even though it should be cool fall weather. And I get really nauseous easily if I get overheated. I'm weird. I don't know. I'm weird.
I gotta go home. It's too hot. I'll go throw up.
Yeah, literally. But flowy dresses, flowy skirts, like I said, tights underneath, fishnet stockings, even with the kind of like spaghetti strap dresses I'd be wearing. I like to do kind of like the mesh long sleeves underneath, something that's still breathable, kind of like the little fishnet bodysuits. I really like going for like the reds, the blacks, the greens, the purples, those kind of schemes. And another thing I really like to do with my outfits sometimes, I really like doing some of my favorite horror movie inspired outfits. I have a lot of different Lost Boys stuff, Lost Boys earrings that I like to match up, Donnie Darko outfits that I like to do, Nightmare on Elm Street outfits that I like to do, Killer Clowns. The list could go on and on. But let me see if I had anything else in here for my little tips and tricks. Yeah, really, that's about it.
Horror bounding.
No, yeah, pretty much. And I feel like I saw on Twitter, it was kind of going around. It was like, oh, show me your HHN outfits for like those who don't wear like the merch shirts. I feel like I buy the merch shirts for HHN just to like solely like wear them like around the house or just to have them just because. I feel like I never actually wear like any of the merch. I just wear like horror t-shirts or like other kind of stuff that I have or like blacks and just like the gothic wear style looking stuff, spooky style stuff. But
I wore the house t-shirt last week for the first time since
I
the
think
event,
the ones that I wear the most is probably my House of Thousand Corpses one and the Black Phone, the one that I have. I wear those two pretty often actually.
I like the Black Phone. Yeah,
I do too. But yeah, I think this year I was thinking about it last year too. I want to start doing more if you guys would be interested in seeing it. I know Seamus and Nick wouldn't be as much, but kind of doing just little like HHN like outfits of the day kind of stuff I think would be fun.
No, you should.
yeah.
That would.
No, you should. It's a good idea.
Nobody cares what
Yeah.
T-shirt I put on. You have at least more.
Right.
stuff to
No,
choose
I
from.
know, I know.
No one asked us because their answer would be black T-shirt,
And I don't,
And short
and I don't
shorts.
and I don't document it enough either because I'm always like, ooh, feeling this outfit, real cute, real fun, and I never take pictures or document it. So maybe I will start doing that. If you guys, my girly pops, would like to see some of those outfits, I think that'd be fun.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
We'll swing back over to me. Super early question. Any plans for another trivia night like last year?
Oh,
Interesting. Is that something you guys would
interesting.
like
You
to
asked
do?
us that question.
That's very, very interesting.
Nick, did you ask this?
No, I did not ask this.
Anonymous?
You may not have to wait as long as you think.
Yee.
We may have some stuff in the pipeline working. So stay tuned. Maybe in the next little bit, you may hear something about something that may have something to do with something like that.
So
It
suspicious.
was not me that asked that. That was not me. Somebody actually asked that. So definitely
Yeah.
stay up to date
Is
on our socials
Nicholas
because
Narabically.
yeah. Stay close. Yeah, it was Pick Narabically asked that question. No, it was not me. So stay close to our socials.
Nickily.
You may not have to wait as long as you think for something like that. Seamus, a monster house creature that would excite you for this year.
Listen, y'all. I knew one of you were going to ask me this question. No, I actually
Todd hitting the
have one.
hard answering questions.
All right. So Universal, you guys are gonna keep doing these versus houses, right? Like so and so versus so and so, battle it out. Like you can keep doing that stuff, fine. But I want Van Helsing versus whatever monster you choose. But give me a house with Van Helsing in it because he's not a monster technically, but he's a monster hunter and he's a Universal character, and I just want to see that happen.
That'd be fun.
That would excite me because it's different. And it's not just monster and monster make them work.
Yeah.
It's something different, and it actually makes the versus make sense.
Yeah. No, I like that.
That would be my answer.
So let's head over now to actually. So Seamus, I'll give you one more because the next three are sort of for everybody. These ones came through on Twitter for us. So this one Zach asked for Seamus. You were infamously against a Poseidon Fury house. Is there an old ride / attraction that you would be excited to become a house?
Again, you guys with these questions. I don't know if you've listened to our podcast before, but I was infamously against the Dragon House too. But so I haven't. So here's the thing. So I haven't really done Universal a lot outside of moving here. So before moving to Florida in 2018, I had done Universal one time growing up. We didn't do it very often. Obviously, like as a family, like we used to come down and do Disney World all the time with the extended family, but my family never really did Universal much at all. We did it one time and that was it. So I don't really have a lot to go back on the original, on the old rides. Like I'm pretty sure that like when we went that one time, Jaws was either closing or had just closed. I don't know what year it was that it closed, but it may have been running still.
I remember doing Jaws at one point, but it might have been a different trip. But I know I've done Jaws, and when I came, I remember doing the old King Kong ride.
Because King Kong was still a ride. Twister was still a ride, or would Twister leave at that point? I don't know. Mummy had just opened. I know that much because it was the 99 trip that we did it on. So I was 11 that one time we did it. It was also the year that the hurricane hit and we got stuck in a hotel and there was hurricane furniture blowing around everywhere. It was quite the trip, quite the memorable trip, but I don't really have a lot to go back on when it comes to Universal rides. So I feel bad just picking something that I don't really know much about. So I'm going to cheat again and I'm going to give you a ride that's not Universal. Actually, I'm going to give you two that are not Universal because there's two that I really couldn't pick between because both of these would be terrifying done in like a horror style. So the first is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which is still arguably one of the best Disney rides ever done.
Classic.
and it
Classic
sucks
movie.
that it was removed because we
Never
did
seen
it
it.
once. Did it once as a kid. It was 95. It was the first year I'd come down as a child, and I vividly remember going on that ride, and they closed it down like a year or two after that. So 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, if you could do like a Jules Verne-esque horror house and kind of do it all steampunky and make it look really like of the time, but also of that era, and all the different creatures you could do and make it feel like you're going underwater. We know that they're really good at doing that, obviously, with Pier and other houses like Depth of Fear. Like they've done it before, so they can make this work and make it feel like you're on a submarine, maybe a submarine that crashes, and now you're underwater and you're dealing with all these like massive like underwater creatures. So that would be one, and then the other would be Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, which is also
so
an
trippy.
incredibly missed Disney classic that has been gone for years. And I'm sure most of our younger listeners, I'm sure Jamie doesn't even remember what this is, but again, it was there the first time we came to Florida, and then went away like a year or two later than that. But just
Is that-
imagine.
Is that where Winnie the Pooh is now?
Yeah.
It's where
That's
Winnie
where
the Pooh
yeah,
is.
yeah,
Yes.
I think I did it a
Bastards.
couple times when I was
You
younger.
may have done it once when you were like little,
I
but
think
like
I
was
probably
gone.
did.
I'm not even sure what year they took it out, but
been gone for a while now.
If you've been to like the little marketplace area in Springs, in that store,
Mhm.
as you walk into the right, they have one of the old ride vehicles from that ride.
Oh, is that what that's fun? That's fun.
Yeah. When did this close? It closed in 98. Yeah, so you would have been like 2 when you went on it.
Yeah, never mind. Maybe not. I was just gonna say I was literally 2. So maybe I did as a kid. I went to Disney a lot when I was a kid. A lot of family members worked there, so maybe.
You may have gone on it, just you were probably
Yeah.
really little. We did it once.
I
I
don't
remember doing
remember.
it one time, but I can imagine like those characters done up in like a weird, like almost Alice in Wonderlandy, messed up,
So
dark
trippy.
version of it, and do a house of it and make it really trippy. Obviously, these are never going to happen because they're not Universal properties. But I felt like it would be more fun to give you, like a legitimate, like some of these things that I remember doing as a kid, because those things would scare me now if they did something like that.
Yeah,
fun
and that's
fact,
why
there is
people have those
actually
attachment. I was to say
Yeah.
that's why people had so much attachment to like the Dueling Dragons and the Poseidon's Fury, because it's like
right, and I
those-
totally understand
yeah.
that. I get that. Yeah. Like I had no attachment to either of those things, so
Correct,
that's why
same,
I'm not
yeah.
super. That's why I'm infamously against them. Wasn't happy about it.
I'll make
But
you
either way.
infamous.
There is at least there was a Mr. Toad like up in the pet cemetery on Haunted Mansion as you're coming
I
off
think
Haunted
he's
Mansion.
still there.
There's a gravestone for Mr. Toad.
Yeah, I think they took one of the statues from the ride and put it like on the tombstone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So for any of those Disney hunters out there.
So let's get into our last
Sorry,
couple
continue.
questions,
I keep going
because
off.
these are more open ended for all of us. So we'll just kind of round table this. But somebody asked, how do you feel about the idea of The Weeknd taking over the Nightmare Fuel show? So whoever wants, Jamie, do you want to jump on that one first? And what do you think about that?
I wouldn't mind this per se, because I would like a more, even though Nightmare Fuel is very musically based, obviously, you guys know I love the magic aspect of it. I really just love that magic, and I don't think The Weeknd would do any, I don't think Abel does any magic, unfortunately.
I don't think Abel's going to be there doing the show, but either way.
I don't think he's
have
going
him
to
there
be
for
there.
next-
How sick would it be though if
right?
like he walked out and it's
Could you
actually
imagine?
him and he's out fucking doing like card magic and shit? That'd be
Literally.
sweet.
We've been training
This
all
guy
year
does
for this.
everything.
No, you're so much more talented than even you were before. Like shit.
I wouldn't be opposed to this, honestly. I would love kind of like, I don't want to say like music dance party because that sounds kind of corny, but kind of like just like a music like S show. It'd be cool to have kind of like a remake of his music videos on stage. I guess would it kind of be a couple different song sets a night, different songs, different stage settings. I know they probably wouldn't go that elaborate with it. It'd probably be the same show every night, but I think it'd be really cool. It'd be something different. As much as I love the Nightmare Fuel show, it has been the same for the last couple of years. They have switched it up a little bit with story line and stuff like that, but yeah, I don't think I would be, as much as The Weeknd got so much love and so much hate when they had it at the event. Don't get me wrong, I I don't want to say opposed to having it, but I was kind of hesitant when they had first announced it. But I ended up really enjoying the house personally. I got some good scares in it. I thought it was really well done. And the music just made it so much fun, and just everyone was just enjoying themselves, even though we were sweating our asses off in line in the back of Universal for 2 hours. But no, but I think it would be a good little switch up. And I think the stage setting for the Fear Factor stage would be perfect for it. I think it would be nice to have a change. I think a lot of people would enjoy it too. As much as we all stand the Nightmare Fuel show, I think a lot of people would be down for this.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of torn. I think that it would be good to have maybe some weekend songs included, but
Yeah.
that's kind of why I like the Nightmare Fuel, is that all the songs are, while they're still sort of all in the same vein, like they are different songs and different artists. So I like the um, variety
Mhm.
in the song choices and stuff like that. So adding the weekend to it, I'm totally okay with that. But taking it over
Mhm.
completely, I am hesitant to say I would like that, just because I want the variety.
Right.
But I don't know. Seamus, what do you think on that one?
So I'm gonna be different than you two. I actually don't want him to. I don't want that to happen at all. Actually, I'm not on board with it whatsoever. And everyone's like, "What?" I'm like, no. I would prefer. I'm not opposed to them changing the show and doing something different. I love the Nightmare Fuel show, but it is getting kind of long in the tooth, and we need to do at least something different, even if it's still Nightmare Fuel, but change up the show. Like, give us something a little different than just the same old dark magic music thing. Like, try to figure maybe a different way to handle that, but don't do the weekend. I would prefer the scare zone idea. Like, if there is rumors that he is coming back, I want him to have a scare zone, because I want it to be a little more free flowing. I think we were talking about it last week, when either you, Nick, or Jamie, whichever one of you pointed out the Rob Zombie scare zone. I want that, but with the weekend stuff, because I think it fits better. Put up the stage, play his music videos, have the dancers, the elevated dancers and stuff like that. Like, make that all out there, and then that way you can have like a few minutes to kind of hang out, have a drink, party a little bit, listen to the music, rather than a 15-minute live show just based around his stuff. I don't think there's enough there, and at that point, does it just feel like a weekend concert without the weekend?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna have more fun walking through San Francisco, bopping to some weekend bops, or I don't know what the word is. All the you young kids use these days, hits, slappers, knee slappers, whatever the hell it's called. I would rather that, because at least, like I've said, but compare it to waiting in line for his house a couple of years ago, where everyone was just like having a good time, singing the music, makes waiting so much better. I'd rather that without the need to wait for a house.
Yeah.
Funny, we all have like different answers.
I was gonna say too, maybe if they did like a not because, like you said, Seamus, too. That's why I was trying to figure it out. I was like, it'd be kind of corny, like a weekend like dance party show. Like, I feel like they really couldn't do much with it, other than if you're not gonna have the weekend up there singing, who's it gonna be? You know what I mean? But it'd kind of be cool if it was like more of a stage show, like the weekend, like inside the mind of like Abel or something like that, or kind of more of a storytelling of a show than just like the music aspect of it.
Yeah, it's not that they wouldn't be able to do it. I don't know if I'd be super excited for it.
Yeah.
So, 2 more questions. Second to last one. Overall, so what are your thoughts on the rumor that Fear or something related to him being the icon this year? Personally,
I think I've already answered this question.
Yeah, we kind of talked about. Seamus talked about it a little bit. I
did
personally
anyways.
haven't seen that rumor from like a credible source. I've seen people kind of, I think, fan speculate is maybe the proper term for not just Fear, but I've also seen a lot of people talking about, they think that in that little teaser trailer, the horror lives here, someone's behind the door. I heard a lot of people talking that they think or hope that it would be Eddie, because they supposedly heard like a little chainsaw noise. But I think that's just audio that HHN added, because chainsaws are a prominent sound that they use. So I don't know. I don't think that they would be going towards Fear. I don't know if it ties in enough. They've tried, and like Seamus said, it's kind of this weird, like, it's a, I don't know. What was the term that you used, Seamus, to describe fear?
He's like more ethereal than grounded.
Ethereal, yeah.
Like, he's not a grounded character. He's not like a human character.
Mhm.
Human, like he's more of a
Entity.
thing, like an entity that you don't
Entity.
really see very often. I think only really way to do him is, and this could be how they this could be how they did it during his year. And again, you guys would know better than I do. It's like the events playing on your fears, and fear is like the controller. He's the puppet master. He's the one that manages he's the one that like brings up your he creates your fears, and then each house, at least the originals, would be a specific fear. That's how I would do it. Like, take some pretty big phobias and say like, this house is this fear, and then this house is this fear. But it's so hard to do and make it appeal to everyone. That's why I don't think he's a very popular icon. I love his character. I love the idea of his character. I just don't like it for an event. I don't think it works for an event.
It's tough to translate it into like the physical sense.
It's how many people actually even realize without going on a tour that like the Icon's house from 30 was Fear's lantern. Like, we were walking into Fear's lair. Like, he's the one that created the house, quote unquote.
Yeah, so originally you wouldn't pick that out. You would just have to have somebody tell you that.
Unless you're like an Uber fan who's been going every year for the last 20 years and can pick out those things. It's really hard to like to gauge that. So I don't know. I would commend them for trying to bring him back, but I don't see it happening.
Excuse me, I'm so tired tonight. I was just gonna say, kind of the same thing Seamus said. I really love Fear's character design, and I love his whole like persona, just being like the epitome of your fears and like all that kind of stuff. And like you had mentioned as well, when you were walking to the Icon's house, being in Fear's lantern, I just really love that whole vibe that it was giving off. And I think with the tweet that they put out in the announcement, and what was it, unlock your fears, fear lives here, something like that. I think maybe people, even myself too, because when I had first read it, I thought, I was like, oh, maybe they're hinting at fear, but that was like, maybe that's like too like in your face. Like, I feel like it's like a little too obvious. Yeah. And it's unfortunate because we have started to see different icons and like mentions of different icons of who possibly could be one, who couldn't be one, all that kind of stuff. How we had Oddfellow last year. It would be nice to have more variety, even though Fear has been around already. And I feel like we just don't have as much of a backstory on him to kind of get the hype and the anticipation here. But then again, you could say the same thing for Oddfellow. So it's tough because I really would like to see Fear as an icon at some point. I just don't think it would be this year per se.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same thought.
Mm-hmm.
All right, our last question. What is your most precious / holy grail item that's in your HHN collection? Now,
this is fun.
I'll kind of kickstart mine because I really don't have, I don't have a lot of stuff that I'm just like, oh, I love this one so much. I buy a lot of the shirts.
Right.
I buy some of the signs when they go on clearance. I buy like the candles that are really cool, even though I don't light them. I just have them. I can smell them every now and then. So I don't know if I have like I'm like looking around to see if there's anything like sticking out that's like prominent, but I don't really have anything. What's really cool, because they'll never make these again, hopefully. I do have my Halloween Horror Nights 2020 face mask. That's something
true.
that like they're probably not going to ever
say. You can tell your future grandkids like, hey, I was there.
Yep.
During the pandemic.
So I guess that's pretty cool. For everyone that's listening, that's like a recent HHN goer. Obviously, maybe they have one, or maybe they threw them all away. That's pretty cool that I have that. I still have my original like single night stub from HHN 25. That was when they did like the little plastic cards from Publix.
Publix.
So that's pretty cool, but that's something that I guess would kind of list in that category. Seamus, I'll go to you because I know Jamie probably has some good answers. So
I have nothing. Like, I don't really have anything HHN. if the question was what is your like most precious horror item that you own, I have a couple things, but HGN specific. I mean, I've got the popcorn bucket from last year, I think, or the year before. Hold on, let me get it.
See, that's cool.
Yeah, I don't have like most of them. I just get as
That one.
shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, see, I never got that one. Yeah,
Me either. That one
So
was
I
cool.
got that one because my wife wanted it, and she wanted the popcorn bucket with the skull, the sugar skull. So I've got that. So I guess that's pretty cool. But
That
like,
is cool.
other than that, I don't. Like I said, I've got some things that are horror specific. I bought this guy a couple years ago at Spooky Empire because I like a lot of the stuff that's like handmade.
Yeah.
So there was a guy there like who did like handmade
oh, the
stuff.
xenomorph.
So I got like the xenomorph.
Oh yeah,
So stuff
We
like
should
that.
just we should just do a show and tell episode because that'd be really fun.
I could. Yeah, I have
Here's
to
all my stuff.
carry you around the whole room. You can see in my background the whole wall is
Yeah.
all full of stuff, and I have this whole wall full of stuff as well, and got some cool autographs
You
and
got
stuff
a lot
like
more stuff
that.
than I do. That's for sure.
Yeah. Way too much money spent on this shit.
Right.
So Jamie, what is your stuff? So I know you
So-
got some stuff, I'm sure.
I do have a couple cool things. They're in the room with you, the majority of them, and I did not go get them, unfortunately, to bring on camera. My first thing is in 2019 when they had the Killer Clown's house. I still have in the wrapper, unwrapped, untouched, the candy bar that they came out for Killer Clowns. The I think it was like
cotton candy flavored
bubble gum or something funny like that. And I just really like that. I just love collecting bullshit that I'll never use.
Yeah,
I love trinkets. I'm a trinket collector. So
I like those people that
something
collect
stupid
like
like
the soda
that.
bottles from
Yeah. Oh,
40
for
years ago.
Yeah,
It's
for
like
sure.
50-year-old Coke.
Yeah, definitely. But I do have that candy bar still sitting in my little bookshelf of oddities and curiosities over there. As I mentioned in one of the questions from earlier, I had my first blood bag in 26. I have since then cleaned it out and kept it for safekeeping. I still have my blood bag from 26. I wrote something else down on here that there was one more thing that I wanted to talk about too because I didn't actually go get it. Oh, that's what it was. HHN 21, I still have my hard copy ticket as well that I got from Publix, and that year was really cool. It was the year that they had Lady Luck's. The ticket's really funky looking, kind of like casino-esque style. And then I think I have a map from 24 and 21, if I'm not mistaken. I still have those two somewhere in our closet full of other things that we need to disperse around our apartment and hang up. But I like collecting different things at Horror Nights. Like I was saying before, I don't wear much of the merch. I don't really get much of the shirts and stuff like that. But I do really like collecting all the other odds and ends. I really like getting the Studio Screamers every year. I like getting some of the coins that they have in the tribute store. Last year, I think I got the Lil Boo coin and I got the Stranger Things coin. I just really love collecting stuff, and I love spending money when I really shouldn't be, but just really boost that serotonin. So this was a fun question.
Well, that wraps up our questions. We had a lot more than I thought. This went a lot longer than I had thought. I was, when we do these episodes, they're always fun because we always get such like variety in questions. So thank you for everyone that sent in a question. That was really fun. We'll probably do one of these again at some point once we're, kind of looking for stuff to talk about. Usually we do our speculation of Scuttlebutt, but there really hasn't been much to talk about. Everything that has sort of been out there is kind of what we discussed last week as well. Some stuff that I've noticed, maybe Nightmare on Elm Street, maybe not as a sure thing as previously thought. It's kind of not being talked about as much. Doesn't mean it's not coming. It just might mean that maybe some of the other stuff is usurped. That seems more like as we get closer and closer, Quiet Place and Ghostbusters seem like more of a reality. And then the Weekend Scare Zone is sort of at the same spot that it has been last week. So nothing to talk about really that's new for Speculation Scuttlebutt. So let's get into our horror movie of the week. Seamus, you alluded to this earlier. So let's just kick this off as to what you're talking about.
I did kick it off, didn't I? I watched Five Nights at Freddy's. I think the night or the day after we recorded last week. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I watched about an hour of it. I got about an hour in, and then I said, Nope.
Oh God,
Nope.
no.
I can't. When it became Freddy's fun time, we're all gonna be fucking best friends, and the little girls like they're all doing this like fucking super power. Yeah, we're power friends, like high fives and shit. No, nope, done. I couldn't. I was honestly, you're lucky I got that far into it because when the cop just showed up and decided that like, hey, I'm gonna be a part of this movie now,
Vanessa
Yeah.
kind of sucks.
I almost turned it off because I was like, this
sucks.
is stupid. Why is she's a police officer, right? Like now again, I didn't finish the movie, so is there some sort of twist at the end of it that I missed with the cop being like
Yes.
evil or whatever? I did. Okay, well then maybe that's on me. I'm sorry, everybody. It was like, oh my god, what are you talking about? She had a big part in it. Ah! It's like, well,
she did, but she wasn't.
no.
Her role was just very, very weird. The way that she acted for her role, I don't know.
The whole movie was fucking weird. Like I just again, I hate lazy writing, and this movie is so lazy, so lazy. Like why? Why did he have to have a baby sister? Like why did we have to add that? You didn't have to do that. They played no part in this movie.
Right.
The aunt was insane. Psycho bitch. Like the kid's like trying his best to raise his little sister, and she's like, he's a fucking tool bag. Like I don't know. I hated this movie, and if the guy who created the game actually helped write this, like even worse, because like you're completely killing the lore. And the thing is there's too much lore to begin with that's been created over the years by the community, so that like they were never going to do this justice. Plus they had to keep it. It's like baby's first horror movie. It's like another one of those ones where it's like it
is PG-13, which kind of sucks.
It's tame enough. Well, that's the problem though. Like you can do a decent PG-13 movie. Like Nick and I went and saw, what was it, Imaginary, just a couple weeks ago. Like that was a PG-13 kind of like baby's first horror movie.
I still haven't seen that.
But it was good. It was decent. The story was okay. It was well acted for the most part. Like it wasn't super corny. This movie was fucking corny as shit.
Corny.
Like Five Nights was definitely a little corny, and the only thing that really got me was just the acting. I just feel like the actors that they had, like Josh Hutcherson, is a good actor. Like they had some like good names in there, and I just feel like I don't know if it's like his accent, maybe how he was talking this movie, but I tell Nick, I just think it's so funny, and it gets me every time. He like has a little bit of this country like twang, and he's like, "You get away from my sister," and he just makes it like so prominent. I just can't help but laugh. And for this movie being so corny and so comedic, you would think I wouldn't enjoy it, but for some reason, I just really liked it.
No, I did. I mean, I'll admit, the one thing about it that did do it somewhat for me is the costumes are really effective.
They're so
like,
cool.
They are pretty scary looking, and they do look pretty cool. But everything else is just stupid. Like the thing is like this is why Willy's Wonderland works, because they went full fucking psycho with it, and like that's what you have to do with a movie like this. You have to do that. This movie was like, hey, take us serious, and then not take us serious. Like it was trying too hard to be taken for like taken. I don't know. It's serious. It's like, why are you putting this whole serious story in it? You don't need to. It's about fucking animatronic animals that are killing people. Like it shouldn't be that hard, because it wasn't. They put Nick Cage in it, and it was fucking glorious. And now they made this movie, and it was like, like I don't know. And I'm sorry, everybody. And the thing is like I'm obviously getting older, and this movie is definitely for the generation that comes after me, because they're the ones that grew up playing the game. I didn't grow up playing this game, so it doesn't really mean much to me. I don't really care. And then the other thing too about it is it ties in the YouTube community, because that's the thing about this video game is it got so popular because of YouTube. So you've got YouTubers in this movie that play like cameos that, obviously if you're not in that world, you're not going to know who they are. But those that are in that world recognize who they are, and I hated every single one of them, the ones that I got to anyways. Like I thought it was cool. We got Matt Pat in it, and he did such a bunch of stuff about he really made the game popular. I hate to say it, he's the reason the game got so popular. But I hated it. I hate it when he shows up and he's doing his thing, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool, he's there. Then he goes, but that's only a theory. Oh, fuck off, movie. Like seriously, like get out of here with that shit. Like, oh, we know who he is. Like, you don't need whatever. I don't mean to like. Everyone's gonna hate me now.
A lot
You
of
already.
people didn't like it. It's okay, Seamus. I'm one of the few I feel like that actually enjoyed
I
it.
don't know about that. I feel like a lot of our community probably digs
Really?
that shit.
I
But
feel like no one really liked
I don't
it.
know. Either way, I did not like the movie. I'm sorry, Jamie. It was not for me. I couldn't finish it. I tried. I really did. I wanted to be like, you know what, Nick, you're wrong, but he's right. This movie was
The
terrible.
soundtrack though, let me fucking tell you, that soundtrack, the Newton brothers just kill it every time. And Seamus, you would like they do a lot of soundtracks and scores actually. Midnight Mass, Haunting of Bly Manor, Hell House.
There were aspects of it
great.
that were good, but I just couldn't get past that.
I'm just trying to hype it up to you. I'm trying to give it.
This is a very
something
divisive movie on. So like looking at Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 32 from critics and an 87 from the audience.
Yeah,
so
it's always the way it is.
It's a PG-13 movie,
and the thing is
it's just the kids.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the funny thing is like that. It's funny because those movies generally I hate almost all of them.
Yeah.
Or not hate. I don't like a lot of them that are like that. Where you go on like Rotten Tomatoes and it's got like a 30% critic score and like a 90% fucking audience score.
Right.
A lot of those movies are not for me. But it's because, as we've stated before, I'm a pretentious asshole when it comes to movies. I'm a pretentious movie watcher, so I like the movies that critics tend to adore and audience tends to hate. Which is funny because I feel like, again, this isn't to rope us into any type of like parameter or whatever, or put us into a box, or whatever. But Nick is usually the opposite of that. He usually likes the movies that like the audience is like super into, but the critics don't really give a shit about. I don't know. I can see why it's popular. I'll give you that. I couldn't. Fair. It was like, let's just put it this way. I finished Megan.
Megan was a million times worse than Five Nights at Freddy's.
I finished Megan. I could not finish Five Nights at Freddy's. And I almost turned Megan off. Ask Nick. We reviewed it. I got about 15 minutes in. And I'm texting everybody. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? And
Five Nights at Freddy's might be corny, but it's not as corny as Megan singing Titanium.
I do not disagree with you on that. And I think that if it wasn't, if we had reviewed Five Nights, I would have watched the whole thing. Okay, so Megan, I think part of the reason why I finished that movie was because we were reviewing it. And
I was gonna say
when she sang Chandeliers, I would have turned it off at that point.
It makes me want to throw up.
The only reason you finished it is because we were reviewing it.
Yeah.
Jamie, what have you watched this week?
I actually watched a couple things this week. Me and Nick have been taking turns staying at home with our new pups, so we've been spending some time with them, and I've had a lot of time on my hands to watch some new movies that have recently came out and about. We watched Lisa Frankenstein, which I've been really itching to see, that they just put on HBO Max or Peacock. I think that we watched it on.
It was Peacock.
Actually, really enjoyed it. It was a really good movie. I was going to say, I think you fell asleep during it, but that's okay. I really enjoyed it. It was a really good, feel good sort of horror, not really esque movie. Very 80s vibes, very new age Frankenstein. Have you seen it? Have you watched it yet, Seamus? I don't want to spoil it if you end up watching it.
Not watched it, but I have heard of it.
Very like new age Frankenstein-ish, but
yeah,
the Frankenstein's monsters creators.
It has
woman.
Like a punk,
it was good. Kind of a punk vibe to it too.
Right? Yeah, I think I've seen it.
Yeah, and Catherine.
I haven't seen it, but yeah.
Catherine Newton's great in it.
Yes, that's right. She's in it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say some of her other movies like Freaky and stuff like that. Didn't really love Freaky that much, but she was great in this. I actually really enjoyed her character, and I just think it was super fun. There was a lot of cool fun. I don't want to say spins, kind of like twists that they put on like the old school style of Frankenstein. Like there was kind of when she's bringing Cole Sprouse to Frankenstein back to life from the dead, instead of like zapping him on like the big table with like all the science hardware and kind of stuff like that, she like puts him in like a faulty tanning bed that like zaps him and starts like bringing him back to life, which I thought was kind of silly, but it was funny. All around I thought it was a really good movie though. And then I don't know if you fell asleep for this, or I think just me and Alex had watched it, but finally watched Night Swim all the way through. Was really hyped up for this movie when it had first came out in theaters, never went to go see it. Always been really creeped out by pools. Growing up with a pool, it's always done something for me. It it wasn't really the best, unfortunately. I really wanted to like it, and it wasn't that great. It just didn't. It wasn't the monsters that they did, and this was disappointing because I usually love like a lot of the Blumhouse movies. Just like the monsters, I guess, and like the creepy creatures that they had were just a little me. Didn't really do it for me. The storyline was pretty good. The acting was pretty good. It wasn't as bad as I feel like everyone said it was, but just really wasn't my
It's got
favorite.
Kurt Russell's son in it.
It does
It's
have
got
Kurt
Wyatt in it.
It does.
Wyatt Russell. I haven't watched it, but I was hearing decent things. I mean, for
It wasn't bad.
like for a cheesy horror movie,
Yeah.
it wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad. No. What about you, Nick? What did you watch?
Just today I started watching Chucky season 3,
Oh yeah, you
the
did.
new sci-fi
God.
where he's in the White House. Um,
It's good.
it's fine.
I-
You know,
It is.
it's definitely so
I
far
couldn't finish.
it's definitely better than season 2. Season 1 was really, really good. I liked it.
Mhm.
I do want to go back and rewatch season 1 because I remember really enjoying it because it was very like just Halloween vibes. Like it wasn't too crazy. Halloween 2 got, or not Halloween 2. Chucky season 2 got like ridiculously meta and like just so bizarre, and I just didn't enjoy it too much. But season 3 seems pretty cool. It seems like it's a little bit more reined in. It's not as like meta so far. I think I only watched the first 2 episodes, but it's fun. It's nothing ridiculous. It's fun. It's a fun different setting, right? Like how many horror slasher movies have taken place in the White House?
It's
not a it's definitely an original setting for them. So, but that's all I got really for my horror watches of the week. But all right, well, I think that about wraps us up. We will be back next week, hopefully with some more rumors or some news or something like that. Talking some HHN as we're getting closer to the season starts. But until next time, this is Nick.
This is Seamus.
This is Jamie. Thanks for all the questions.
Happy haunts.
It's cursed. Cursed. It's got a death curse. You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare.
And again, I would just like to thank Vampire Stepdad for letting us use his music for our intro and outro music. So if you would, just go check him out. Spotify, Facebook. Again, that is Vampire Stepdad.